went into the photography mode or whatever, or when you're in the showroom, I'm going in a wall then. Hello everybody, welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to Assetto Corsa EVO. Now, straight off the bat, I want to just say a big thank you to GTPlanet. I work for GTPlanet as their lead video producer. It is one of the biggest online racing communities in the world, if not the biggest, and obviously all started from Gran Turismo, but covers many other racing games as well. We do all sorts across many different channels, platforms, and everything. So make sure you go check out GTPlanet, and of course, follow them on social media, on YouTube, and all sorts, and you'll see me there as well doing daily races and the like on Gran Turismo 7, and any games that then come up in the future, such as this one. Thanks to GTPlanet being given a code for Assetto Corsa EVO, they've allowed me to use their code for my own video, while Andrew's not on the account anyway. And I wanted to just first off say, this obviously is going to be my sort of first impressions of it in my own independent review, but it's not really a first impression because I've done that over on GTPlanet already. So I'm quite intrigued though, because it means that I get to come back to the game and get a second first impression. So I get to, reassess the game itself and see what's different. Now, the main difference is the fact that, right now I can't hear it, which is really weird. Okay, so there's an already interesting and annoying thing, is that to get the audio changes to apply, you have to quit the game and then open it again. That's not something I've witnessed yet. And I want to just give the disclaimer early here that, yes, I know this is in early access and there is a long time, as you can see here, before we're going to get the first official release. I don't expect it to be fully polished. I don't expect it to be absolutely perfect at this stage. However, I think the main gripe that people are having with it is the fact that it's been given to us in this form in the first place. And there's, I say in this form as if it's completely unplayable. It's not. It's really good. But it's just that there's not a humongous step up from the previous game at the end of the day. Like, I always compare it, and I have done in the many forms where I've been talking about it, to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 compared to 2024. There's no need for me to go to 2024 other than a few graphical changes and maybe a different menu and the career mode, for example. But I already stay on 2020 with all the mods and everything that I've got and all the additional aircraft and payware and scenery, because it works already. There's not enough of a reason to go forward to the next game. That's how this is right now, but obviously I know that it's early access and there's going to be a long old time period. I need to stop playing with this pen. There's going to be a long old time period before it gets to a point where it's an improvement over the old one. And there's a lot of potential. That's the good thing about it. I'm immediately going to turn it down though, because it's so loud, it's ridiculous. So bear with me. And there's no music. You are not mishearing anything here. I've turned the music off in this menu because it's not copyright free. Anyway, what I wanted to do is just look at some vehicles to begin with, because there's some cars that I have not driven yet. In my first impressions video on GTPlanet, I didn't have half of these because there was obviously a patch on day one that meant that all the cars were now available in offline mode. There's a lot of cars here that I'm really interested in looking at. I want to actually just click on all the manufacturers. One thing we did notice is the menus are slow. The menus are, when it comes to the scrolling in particular, I'm scrolling like mad on this mouse now, and it usually scrolls really quickly, but the scroll speed seems to be very inconsistent. I've driven the i30Ns, I've driven the S2000. The i30N is possibly my favourite road car in the world right now. I know it seems a bit daft to some of you. There's the Mercedes-AMG GT2, there's the Porsche 911 Cup car, which is quite interesting as well. Toyota GR86s, which is quite an interesting shout. My girlfriend Charlotte loves those. A lot of different specs of Camaro. Now, what I kind of wish they'd do at this point, maybe something they'll do going forward, is instead of have all the specs listed like this, is you pick the base model and then which spec sort of within that. So it doesn't list them all here because you think, wow, look, we've got 8 different Camaros. You've got one, really, that's then got different specs on top of that. Same with all these as well. Just because it's a different livery, it shouldn't come up as an extra entry to me. But still, I'm going to do a lot of moaning here because I'm not convinced via my first play of this that it's going to be amazing. The graphics, very, very pretty, very shiny, but sometimes the cars look matte, sometimes they look shiny. It's really weird how it all works. The anti-aliasing is nothing short of horrific. It doesn't get better anytime you look at it. It's sort of laddered up the car. But I'm not going to keep defending myself and finishing every sentence by saying I know it's early access, because you should take all of what I say from this point as, I know that. I just want to drive a car around. That's all I want to do at the moment. I'm going to do a practice session at Imola in one of my favourite road cars, the Alfa Romeo Giulia GT Amp. This thing is fantastic. It's based on the Quadrifoglio. And we're going to go for scattered clouds. The weather is good. I really like this, actually, how when you choose a preset weather, it shows you how to recreate that on the right-hand side. I think that's really, really cool because it shows you what elements are changing and what comes with it, just in case, you know, you don't get enough information from the first little bit on the left-hand side here. So, we're going to go scattered clouds. I will also say, because I'm not going to be in a menu for a little bit, the thing I really don't like is, if I want to go and pick a car, I pick it, you know, go through all this and whatever, then I hit back twice. It's almost like it's not being accepted. I'd rather have a button in the bottom right, over there, that says, you know, OK or accept or apply or whatever. You know, I would rather lock that in with a button. Still, let's get behind the wheel, shall we, and see what I can pick up from a lap or two at Imola. Oh, also, I'm using the Thrustmaster TGT2. It's a wheel that we got at GTPlanet as part of some sponsorship content a while ago with Thrustmaster, and I absolutely love this wheel. I use it for all sorts. It's got 22 buttons on it. It's very, very busy. I use it for Truck Simulator. I use it on F1 Challenge. I've used it on iRacing as well when I just need to put a car on the circuit. Now, this looks really pretty here in this light. You know, that metallic effect is fantastic. Very, very pretty indeed. And, I mean, I'm picky, but the depth of field there would not be like that. You know, that is not good. That's just it trying to be artsy, but a camera of this wide angle would not have that sort of small aperture. Anyway, I want to make sure I've got all my settings in. Let's go to controls. It's never easy to navigate a menu. It took me a while the first time round to figure out that the TGT racing wheel's up there. It has all this already, actually, because I did reapply them the other day after I had my first playthrough of it. So, we're in the car to begin with, and I do want to say that I've noticed before that the force feedback isn't very heavy in this. Now, I've just come from a morning of playing Gran Turismo 7 and nearly had my arms ripped off, even with this bass being quite weak. The sounds are very, very good in places, but one of the main things for me is that... oh, flip it out. One of the main things for me is that they're very loud when there's walls around you and echoing, and then the difference between that and how it sounds now, I mean, in this case it's not so bad. Oh god, I don't know, it just seems strangely aggressive on the sounds in places and not in others. Now immediately the feedback feels heavier, which is really good. I don't know if I had some different settings the first time round when I played it on GTPlanet's video, but yeah, immediately it feels like there's a bit more going on underneath me, but even then, I feel like Jordan highlighted it to me where it's only if you hit an object like a curb or if you lock up the brakes. That's the only time it really activates. Other than that, it's just a centering spring. It's just keeping the wheel in the middle when you turn it right or left. The sounds in this car are very good compared to the others I've driven. The backfire noises and everything sound really muffled, like they should be back there behind me. I was not sure on the shift up and down noises to begin with, because I know they're quite a deadened sound, which are either, you know, if the gearbox is towards the rear of the car or if it's a front wheel drive car, it's a sound that you'll only really hear as a bit of a thud if there's a backfire or something. But at this stage, I don't know, it sounds like the tyres, I mean the windows aren't open in this car, I'm very sure they're not open, but you can hear the tyres quite a lot compared to what I'd expect, so it just seems like the balance of the audio needs sorting out. It looks a lot smoother in terms of the frame rate as well, because the first time I ran it, I run an RTX 2070 graphics card, which is the graphics card they mention on the recommended specs, and it ran a lot worse the first time I played it, in fairness. This looks a lot smoother, but listen to that. Listen to the echo on my right. Because of the walls. Like, I get what they're implying and what they're doing, but it's well too aggressive. And again, tyre noises. I mean, that's with tyre noises turned down to 50% as well. It's the one thing I turned down, because when I had a spin, let me lob it around here for you. The tyre noises are ridiculously, ridiculously loud. The off-road noises, to be fair, are very loud as well. I think that would be something that would sound deadened as well. I'd like the engine to be louder than everything else, really. Because, you know, if you come down to some serious racing on this, you would be trying to pay attention to what the engine is doing more than anything. You'd listen for that engine note for gear changes and so on. I had a fantastic glitch the first time I played this though, you know, with an S2000 and a pit lane. Let me put that in here for you. But I was always open to giving this a second chance, you know. I mean, I'm not an Assetto Corsa fanboy, I'm not a Gran Turismo fanboy. There's lots of things that I don't like about Gran Turismo, despite the fact that I, you know, work almost daily using that game. I'm an iRacing fanboy, because that's where I started my commentary career and my sim racing, this, that and the other. However, I still slate iRacing. I know there's stuff they don't do right, you know. I'm a sim racing fan. I like the different sims that we've got and everything that they give us. We're very spoiled with racing sims at the moment, if you're just a car and motorsport fan, because there's games and sims out there that cover all corners of the globe. They all do things differently very well, they all do things differently very badly. This has potential for sure, but at the moment, you know, if we were given it like this, I would stick with the old one. I'm interested to see what the mod compatibility is like in future as well. It's just, for me, it's the anti-aliasing. It's a game that's been killing high-powered PCs, despite not looking that fantastic. It's not as groundbreaking as I thought. It's one of those things where in certain lights and in certain conditions, you know, if you went into the photography mode or whatever, or when you're in the showroom, I'm going in a wall there. If you go into a showroom, for example, and the game knows exactly what to render and, you know, it's set up to be in that environment and not be moving, then that's great, you know, and it looks incredible. It looks really, really good, albeit for the anti-aliasing and all that. These sharp edges are just horrific. I think that when it's moving and when you're in the car and you're driving, it's not great. It doesn't look fantastic yet. There's certain bits of it where, I mean, if we just go back, let's just have a look at another car. Let's go for something I've not looked at yet. I've not loaded in an Alpine. I mean, here it's all right, to be honest with you, but there's usually a bit of an effect where the inside of headlights glow too much. That's something that racing and car games get wrong so often, is the innards, you know, because obviously it's a 3D object. The insides of lights and things glow inexplicably, and inside grills and so on. But the light projection on this has been done really well, you know, the way that metal bit there reflects and goes brighter and darker. That's really good. But with some of them, it's not right. I just don't understand this. Look how shiny the bonnet is, but look at the side of the car. It's like when the shadows... I mean, it's probably a level of detail setting that when the shadows are sort of side-on down the car, or the reflections anyway, they're not as sharp. All of a sudden, it's shiny. But any surfaces you're looking down quite flat, they appear matte. Looks like he's had a matte livery applied to the side of it. There, look at that. There's no shine, and then all of a sudden, really shiny. Not shiny, shiny. It's strange how it works, but, you know, playing with a lot of different sims and games, you get to come across a lot of different lighting settings and all sorts, and you see how everybody does stuff differently. I'm just not a fan of how that looks at the minute, but I'm picky. I want to point that out again. I am picky. Very, very picky. A friend of mine, Simon's got one of these Alpines, so I'm going to give it a go so I can slate him even more for buying it. Let's have a look at Mount Panorama. Let's go Mount Panorama. We'll change the weather. We'll go for overcast. No rain or anything. And we'll keep it as was, so let's hop in. One thing I will say is, yeah, sure, it's only one car and one track, but the loading times are really good. I don't enjoy that you get to see the textures and things get sharper, you know, as it loads everything in, you see everything begin to sharpen up around you. But, yeah, the loading times are really, really good. I have to give it that. There's still the weird little, can't think of the word, nuances of Assetto Corsa here and there, like when you load in, you know, it drops the car down on the ground and the wheel goes a little bit mental for a second. It's not a smooth transition into the car. We've got... See what I mean? How... Listen. Listen to the backfire there. Sounds like it's over there, and it's really good. But then it sounds like the turbocharger is here. Like right next to me. Some of the positioning of the sounds needs work. I know that the engine in this thing is behind you, so it's probably that it's not here, it's here. But it just, don't know. There's some of the, oh god, some of the audio just still needs a bit more work in terms of the positioning of it. Now you get pit lane speed limiters in every car. That's not something I enjoy for the purists, but it is what it is. Let's see what it's like. Yeah, again. I'm not sure how well that'll come across in the video, but it sounds to me like the turbo is here. Nice little backfire, that. Ooh, that does sound good. Yeah, that is good. I quite like that. Feedback's nice and heavy. Part of me worries whether I, jumped on it straight away on GTPlanet without fine-tuning it before giving it a proper chance. I really do like those backfire sounds. It's the same noise again and again, though. Sort of wish there was a little bit more variation in it. Oh, hello. Turn, Chaz. Jesus. I like the fact that that car contact sound is loud, but it sounded like it was behind me. It's just the visuals. Oh god, I'm going in a wall again. I'm trying not to put too much lock on. That's something I'm really bad for, is I never put any lock on in The Sims. But it's the visuals for me, the anti-aliasing. Those birds were doing about Mach 2 across the threshold then. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't do anything badly. It's just, you can tell that it's early access. Like, it's almost as if they've tried to sort of bait us into being angry at it by being like, oh, it's rubbish. And I must admit, I fell for that initially. I kind of see why Simon got one of these. If it actually drives like this in real life, it feels like a missile. I'm going to go off here. It gripped. Got the brakes are good. Now I like that, the sort of bang of it bottoming out. That's good. The curbs are a bit of a pre-generated noise, so no matter what type of curb you're going over, rather than it be a big chunky curb like those and it be dung 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 dung, it always sounds like, listen. It wouldn't make that sort of noise, one at that speed and two over that type of curb. So maybe that's something that will get fine-tuned. My favourite thing so far is the backfire noises. Obviously we're not getting free roaming for a while yet, that's going to be in future versions that come to us. But it's not horrific. I think the first time I went into it, I was a big skeptic for one. I thought that they'd promised way too much and they weren't going to be able to deliver it straight away. But obviously, they've promised to deliver a lot by the time it's released, not in the early access. That's something that I think I forgot to apply in my head. But it's just not, at this stage, doing enough to, interest me. I sometimes haven't seen the point in Assetto Corsa. I've had friends over and we've, got the wheel out or we've got the rig out that's next to me, stop it in the wall, Chaz. And, we've just driven road cars for a laugh because that's what I jump in Assetto Corsa to do. I jump in it to drive road cars and to just drag stuff about. It makes you appreciate road cars like this. I've never seen it as a racing simulator. If I want to race, I, funnily enough, go on R-Factor 2 because I just find that the racing there, or the racing on iRacing, or even Gran Turismo 7 with some of the missions and challenges you do, is better. I have to admit though, I'm enjoying driving this around and the way this feels on this wheel. It's not giving me anything detailed in terms of feedback though. If I was being fussy and had to mention, what the feedback was giving me, it does just feel like a centering spring at the moment. In terms of the little bumps and so on, I can't feel much. Sure, I'm not on a direct drive wheel, so that might be why I'm missing out on that. You can feel a little bit over bumps like this here as the car sort of lobs about. There's a little knock on the wheel, and when you go off like that, but it all just feels a bit pre-programmed, like it's, if car equals off track, play this rumble. And I'm not the best driver in the world, you all know that, but I'm kind of enjoying that. I'm going to come in. I do like the backfire noises. Now I tried to put the pit limiter on 2 or 3 times there and it didn't come on. Strange. That is good, that noise. Okay. In we go. It's not completely groundbreaking, that's the thing. But I think a lot of people, like me, expected to go straight into Assetto Corsa EVO and it be, easy to notice what the differences are and really, where the improvements lie. It's good by any standard. However, I just don't see how it can be hyped up at this point as like this humongous grand release to be, blowing everybody's brains and wow, the new Assetto Corsa. To me, it's just as if the original has just been polished up a little bit, but not enough. I mean, hopefully in time this gets sorted out. I don't know whether that's down to my system or not, but I've seen a lot of people mentioning this. There's time. there's definitely time for Assetto Corsa EVO. It's a shame you can't hear the really good music on this menu as well, actually, because one thing they have done right is really, really capture the atmosphere with the right music in the right places. They've got a weird sort of post-race Gran Turismo-y sounding thing, where Gran Turismo always have weird music, but yeah, they seem to have copied that idea with the post-race music. But, as I said before, the menu music that you get here is not copyright free, so the streamers and everybody are going to love that. I've turned it off because I don't want to have any issues with it, and it's a real shame that that's the case. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm still on the fence here, but like I said, I know it's early access. I know there will be updates and, you know, extra releases and things, and we're going to be keeping our eye on it naturally as GTPlanet. Anyway, I'll be keeping my own eye on it as my own personal opinion here on my channel, and yeah, hopefully we get something good at the end of this. There's promise there. I just hope that they go about it in the right way. I think that early access definitely is the right way of doing that because, you know, they get the player base, the people that eventually will be the consumers or that already are the consumers, to play it and get what they want out of it. So, yeah, I think they're definitely doing the right thing. It's easy to slate it, and I have at the end of the day. I think it's just going to be a bit of a waiting game now and see what they can release. But yeah, thanks very much for watching either way. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments as well, and hopefully I'll see you in a video very, very soon.